Hello and welcome back to some World of Tanks. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new updated Bond store for 2024. Just got updated in update 1.24.1, loads of new tanks added, and the rest have stayed the same. So let's go through it. I want to tell you where each of the tanks sit in today's meta, and whether it's going to be worth picking up. Let's get right into it. Well, let's get right into it. So, we're going to do it like this. I've taken screen grabs of each page of the Bond store, and we're going to go through it, and I'm going to go yes, no, why yes, why no, essentially. So, starting off with the M60. The M60 is a good tank, American medium tank. It's a sniper. It's still relevant in today's meta, but it's definitely not the not the best tank, but it's still going to be good. So that's a tick from me. The 268 version 5. This tank is one of the new ones which has been added. And yeah, it's a pretty okay tank. It's got really good heat pen, but its gun's a bit trolly. It's almost an Object 268 if it has a turret. So it'll be good for some people, not good for others. So it's a maybe. But if you have 15,000 bonds to burn, yes, I guess. The 113 Beijing Opera, that's a no from me. This tank's pretty poor. You can also just get the 113 for credits if you get it from the removed tanks from the tech tree. Nothing special, definitely not worth 15,000 bonds. The 121B, this tank's a big yes from me. This tank is really fun. It's got great heat pen, decent gun, decent-ish turret armor, can brawl a little bit. Yeah, the 121B, great tank in my opinion, worth picking up. The Foch 155, this tank is a little bit forgotten, it feels. Yeah, it's a bit meh. It's pretty funny when you're able to clip people for all three of your big alpha shots, but apart from that, not really special. Doesn't really have DPM, and its gun, it's pretty hard to hit those three shots, so that's a no from me. The FV215B. This tank is pretty, once again, unloved. It's very badly performing. It's one of the worst performing tier 10s. But if you're a very good player and you feel you can play very well in heavies, you'll be able to make this tank work because its gun is lovely, its DPM is lovely, it just has no armor, and it can be penned in places where it probably shouldn't be able to be penned, and it's slow. So, there is that. The WZ114, this tank's another one of the new ones. This tank is a tier 9 premium. It's going to be the first tier 9 premium available through the Bond store. Is it worth it? No, it's terrible. Simple as. It has a cupola that could be penned by everything. Its gun is atrocious. Its hull armor is atrocious. It's slow. Not worth it, in my opinion. You know, if you don't have a tier 9 premium and you have a lot of bonds, I don't know, maybe. But if you have loads of tier 8 premiums, having a tier 9 premium is no different, really. It doesn't give you any extra credits, so yeah, no, not really worth it. Chieftain T95. It's not the good Chieftain. It's the tier 8 old Clan Wars tier 8 reward tank. British medium. No. Simply no. I have it because I can't even remember where I got it from. Somewhere. It's terrible. Simple as. Cupola, huge. Gun, terrible. Armor, atrocious. Speed, slow. There you go. Everything you don't really want on a tank. The IS-5, yes. And also no. It's basically an IS-3, but a little bit worse in my opinion. Its armor's okay. It's got, once again, a pike nose, so it's going to be, you know, pennable when it angles a little bit. Its gun's okay, but not great. It's Russian, typically Russian, bit trolly. It's relatively quick, but not very quick. It's kind of meh. There are better ones, in my opinion. So, probably if you have a lot of bonds, yes. If you don't, no. That's my advice. Let's go on to the next page. So, the second page. Let's get right into it. KV4 Kraslavsky, however you say it. I'm terrible with names. No. This tank's a bit of a meme. It's, yeah, pretty much the only way to put it is simply a bit of a meme. Nothing really special. Its armor's okay. Its gun's meh. Speed, slow. Not worth 10,000 bonds, in my opinion. The Defender, or the Object 252U, yes. This will probably be one of the biggest pickups, I'd say, from the new tanks that have been added. It's just a solid tier 8 premium. It's not as good as it was in its heyday back in, 2020, 2018, that kind of era. It's still strong. It's still a well-performing tier 8 medium. And it makes good credits as well. It's got good armor, a decent gun. It's relatively quick. It's not slow. Basically, the things you want on a tier 8 premium heavy. The guard. Yes and no. I really enjoy the guard. The guard is quite an enjoyable tank for me, but that's because I like playing mediums. If you're a good medium tank player, you'll be able to make it work. Its gun's alright. It's low profile. It's rear turreted, so it can do some funky stuff. But for the average player, I'd say no. There are significantly better tier 8 premiums to pick up from the bond store, like the Defender. The T103. Yes, actually. My opinion on this tank has shifted over the years. This tank I used to think was terrible. But it's actually kind of okay nowadays. It has decent-ish armor. Yes, it has frontal weak points. Yes, it has a cupola. But its armor, apart from that, especially against tier 8 tanks, is pretty okay. Its gun hits hard. It's relatively accurate-ish. And it's relatively quick. It's okay. It's not the best one. But it's definitely, it sits like high mid-tier kind of area. The IS-6. I'm really split on this tank. This tank lacks an anti-shells. It's slow. It has cupolas across the entire top of the turret. Its gun's pretty terrible. But its armor is troll. And it can work in certain scenarios. But I feel for the average player for the IS-6, probably no. For a good player, yes, you'll be able to make it work. It's that kind of trade-off. The M4190 Grand Finals Edition. No. Sorry, just no. It's just bad at the end of the day. It just is. Bad gun, bad camo. It gets outspotted by so many tier 8 premiums. Especially tier 8 light tanks, not even premiums. No, it's just bad. It has decent DPM, has decent ramming capabilities, but just no, really. SDRV-81. Yes, it's alright, in my opinion. It's quite an enjoyable tank to play. It's hull down. It's very similar to the British mediums. It's literally a carbon copy of the British mediums. Decent-ish armor, decent-ish DPM. The gun is a bit meh. Armor, apart from the turret, is pretty meh. It's a bit slow, but I quite enjoy playing it whenever I play that tank. I think it's okay. Could be worse, that's for sure. KV-5. Okay. Yes and no. This tank's kind of really easy to play. It's got pretty dumb armor and a decent-ish gun. I'm sure you'll have all seen the clips of it ramming things, because it's very funny for that. But are there better tier 8 premiums available for 8,000 bonds? Yes. Are there funnier ones? No. The KV-5 is just hilarious. It's easy to play. It's pretty dumb. Makes a decent amount of credits. Yeah. That's all it is. It has value for fun, basically. The M46KR. No. Avoid at all costs. It's terrible. Its gun is terrible. Its armor is terrible. It's slow. Everything about it is bad. Avoid. The Senlac. Okay. A good player will be able to make the Senlac work, and I think it's a relatively alright tank. But are there better ones? Yes, because you got to remember, you're spending 8,000 bonds. You want to pick up the best thing you can for your 8,000 bonds. And the Senlac, don't really feel that's it. The Chrysler Grand Finals. Yes. This tank's pretty controversial. Its armor is great. It only really has 2 frontal weak points. Its lower plate and its cupola, but its cupola isn't really a weak point, and its lower plate when angled also isn't really a weak point. It can side scrape. It is a side scraping monster. Its gun is okay. I really enjoyed playing the normal edition of this, just the Chrysler K, not the Grand Finals edition. Same tank, just a skin. That's literally it. I really enjoyed it. Good fun tank, really easy to play. Made a load of credits. Yeah, it's alright. The Patriot, T26E5 Patriot. 4 years ago, I'd have said yes. It was probably one of the better ones 4 years ago. Not anymore. This thing's been power crept all hell. Its gun is bad, it's slow, its armor just doesn't work anymore. Yeah. Unfortunately, the Patriot has really been relegated down the list, and no longer is it really worth picking up, in my opinion. Is what it is. The M41D, once again, similar to the German light, which is available. Not really. It's not really worth it. Its gun's okay. Has surprisingly okay-ish armor for a tier 8 light, but apart from that, not really anything special. Unless you're a collector, I wouldn't pick it up. The Liberté, the AMX M449 Liberté. Once again, a few years ago, I'd have said this tank's probably one of the better ones. Nowadays, no. Been power crapped all hell. Armor doesn't work. It's slow. Its gun is atrocious. It makes me depressed whenever I play that thing. Its gun is so bad. Yeah. Got a cupola, gun, slow, no armor. Apart from, yeah, it's just bad nowadays. Simple as. The Lorraine 40T. I'm a bit of a masochist. I like the Lorraine 40T. I've played it quite a lot. It was my first ever tier 8 premium. I really enjoyed it. For most people, no. The Lorraine will not work for you. Its clip is a 4-round clip. Just doesn't work for most people. You have to play it really quite assassin-like, which is a really hard play style. There's just better ones to pick up, such as the T-34-3. T-34-3, good tank, great heat pan, great alpha, lacking in the DPM, decent armor, decent speed. It's basically a poor man's 122 TM. It's okay. It's one of the better medium tanks available. That's my opinion on it, really. The Mutts, the Panzer 38 Mutts. No, avoid, terrible armor, decent-ish gun, slow. Yeah, avoid, particularly, really, unless you're a collector. The Alpine Tiger. The Alpine Tiger, yes, it's a skinned version of the 112. This tank is brilliant if you're trying to do missions for the 279E or the 260, especially those blocking missions. Because this thing has decent armor. Yes, it has cupolas, but if you can get it into a scenario against some lower tier tanks where they, can't pen your cupolas because your cupolas do have decent armor, this thing's really good for blocking missions because it doesn't really get a weak side. It doesn't really have a pike nose, so it can angle quite nicely and still be unpennable, and people will try and shoot it like it's a defender, and it doesn't work. So, pretty good for the missions. Apart from that, it's an alright premium. It makes decent amount of credits, but it's nothing special. But it's one of the better ones, I'd say. It's kind of on a same tier as the Chrysler Grand Finals, actually. Probably. That's probably me being a bit harsh on it, but it's alright. Final page, we're going on to the lower tier tanks now, so the tier 7 and the tier 6 and the tier 5 tanks. The T23E3, it's okay, nothing special. Once again, I would not advise spending bonds on anything below tier 8. You spend your bonds on bond equipment if you're desperate to buy a low tier tank at the end of the day. If you have 5,000 bonds, you can't wait to save up to the 8,000, just buy yourself a piece of bond equipment. Don't buy one of these tanks because, yeah, just not worth it. But the T23 American Medium, it's okay. It's available for rental a lot. It seems to get thrown into loads of different rental bundles, whether that be the Prime bundles, stuff like that. So, not probably worth picking it up unless you're a collector. The IS-2S, this tank was available for an old Berlin play against bots mode. It's alright. It's basically just an IS-2 with some spaced armor. I quite enjoy playing it, but it's not worth picking it up for 5,000 bonds. No point. It really isn't. Spend your bonds on some bond equipment. But it's alright. Tiger 131, historical tank. It's alright. Simple as. Not worth it. Once again, available for rental quite a lot, especially around Tank Fest and Tiger Day, all that kind of stuff. They normally throw out a 10-game rental for this tank, so not worth it. If you want to try it out, try it there. If you really like it, I don't know, pick it up. Not worth it. SU-100Y, okay, one of the new ones. It's probably one of the better tier 6 premiums. It's okay. Its gun's nice. Has surprisingly okay armor for a tier 6 TD. Relatively camo, decent view range. It's okay. Just not worth picking up for 5,000 bonds. Simple as, really. The Panzer IV-S, once again, it's okay. Not worth 5,000 bonds. Decent gun, decent armor-ish. Just not worth it. The Panzer IV Hydro, not worth it. Just simple as. It's just terrible. bad gun, bad armor, giant cupola, yeah, simple as. T-34S, I don't know, it's a relatively fun tank, but not worth it. It's not worth 50. I mean, maybe it's worth 1,500 bonds. If you have a lot of bonds and you want a funny tank, maybe T-34S is for you. But my opinion, if you've got 1,500 bonds to spunk up a wall, get the M10 RBFM. It's a funny tank. My first ever free mark when I was really bad at the game, but it's funny. It has a decent-ish gun, bit inaccurate. Decent camo, decent view range, decent DPM, decent penetration. But once again, all of these tanks below tier 8, my opinion, unless you're a collector and you need these tanks to finish off your collection, I really don't think they're worth it. I think you should save your bonds and pick up one of the tier 8s or one of the tier 10 tanks. That's my opinion. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. Turn that subscription on so you can get that bell for whenever I get notified. And do let me know down in the comments whether you're going to be picking up any of these tanks. It would be much appreciated to know your opinions on some of the new ones like the V5, the WZ114. And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.